The free refill loophole. A single paper cup can bend the rules more than you think. Not by sneaking, not by smirking, but by understanding the promise printed between the lines. The free refill loophole isn't about gaming the system. It is about aligning yourself with the store's own offer. Same visit, same cup, same kindness. When you move with those boundaries instead of against them, you get more than a drink. You get permission. Here is how it plays out in real life. You and a friend grab burgers at a spot with a fountain by the counter. You order a small because refills are free. As the cashier hands over the cup, you say, "We're eating in." That tiny sentence plants a flag. You sit, you eat, you sip. Halfway through, you walk back with the same cup in your hand, lid off, a smile ready. "Mind if I top this off?" The staff nods. No argument, nothing to prove. You were clear, you were polite, and you stayed inside the sign's intent. Psychologically, that clarity lowers resistance. People say yes when a request is simple, respectful, and obviously within bounds. Another day, a coffee shop. The chalkboard says free refills on brewed coffee for dine-in. That means the refill lives inside the moment, not after it, so you slow down. You sit, you work. Before you stand to leave, you bring your cup to the bar and say, "Could I warm this up before I head out?" They fill it without a fuss. You did not stretch the promise, you finished it. The loophole, if you even call it that, is timing plus transparency. When you name the boundary, you help the other person feel safe saying yes, because your ask is easy to verify and easy to defend if anyone asks them why they allowed it. We tend to imagine loopholes as clever tricks, but the real ones often work because they reinforce social norms, not violate them. You keep the same cup visible. You wait your turn. You ask in the open. You make the low-cost choice their policy already covers. That lightness matters. People are more cooperative when the path is clear and the cost is low, especially when you show you understand their role and make their job easier. Zoom out, and this becomes more than soda or coffee. Jobs, classes, memberships, even conversations have their own version of same visit, same cup. Spell out your intention. Respect the boundary. Ask before the moment ends. Paradoxically, the more you honour the rule, the more room you are given to move within it. That is the free refill loophole. Not a cheat code, a courtesy code. Read what is promised, step into it cleanly, and doors that look like walls start opening. Keep your cup, keep your clarity, then refill what you can while you are still inside the moment. The return policy loophole. The cleanest loophole in retail isn't hidden in fine print. It's printed right on the receipt. Think of a return window as an option you buy for free. A few weeks where you can change your mind, price check the world, or swap a bad choice for a better one, all without crossing a single ethical line. Imagine you buy a pair of headphones on a Saturday. By the next Friday, the price slides down by a chunk. Most people sigh and move on. The quiet move is to use the time you already have. Within that return period, you can ask for a price adjustment if the store allows it, or simply return and repurchase at the new price. No tricks, no fibs. You're not gaming the system. You're letting the clock work for you. Here's the rhythm. Before you buy, glance at the return policy on the product page or the sign by the register. Snap a photo. That's your map. Some stores offer longer windows during the holidays, turning a basic return period into a season-long safety net. Gift receipts can soften strict rules. Open box items might carry a restocking fee. Certain categories like perishables, custom orders, and digital goods often can't be returned at all. When you know the boundaries, you can play confidently inside them. Condition is your currency. Keep the packaging tidy, the tags on, and the accessories together. That pristine state preserves your option. If a newer model appears within your window, you can use your return to pivot. If the price dips, ask politely for the adjustment. Many associates have an easy button for that when you are still within their stated rules. There's also the odd quirk online. Sometimes a low-cost item is refunded without being sent back because shipping would cost more than the thing itself. That happens at the store's discretion. Treat it like a courtesy, not a hack to be squeezed. A quick caution. Wardrobing, buying to use once and returning, sounds clever until it isn't. Retailers tag high-risk items, track patterns, and partner with systems that flag serial returners. Push too hard, and your returns can be denied, your ID required, or your account restricted. The loophole closes fast when it feels like abuse. The real play is simple language and good timing. I noticed the price dropped within my return window. Could you help me match it? When you show you understand their policy and you keep the item in perfect shape, you make it easy for a human to say yes. So the return policy loophole isn't about beating the store. It's about reading the rules like a contract you can actually use. Hold on to your receipt, protect the condition, watch the calendar, and let the policy do the heavy lifting. That's how you get flexibility without crossing a line, and how you walk away with exactly what you want at the price you deserve. The forgot to scan loophole. A single beep, then a beat of silence, a shrug, a bag slides away. That tiny pause is where the forgot to scan loophole lives, or at least where people like to pretend it does. Self-checkout has turned the register into a mirror. No cashier, just you and whatever story you tell yourself about what just slipped by. Here's how it plays out. You scan the cereal, the soap, the bananas. You lift the bulky case of sparkling water into the cart and promise yourself you'll scan it later. Distraction arrives wearing a bright vest and asking if you need help with produce codes. The line creeps. The screen freezes. Someone coughs behind you. You hit pay. The cart rolls. The story writes itself. I forgot. It happens. The system is confusing. They make billions. I'll get it next time. The claim sounds safe because it wears the costume of a mistake. It leans on noise, on chaos, on human fallibility. But the reason it feels like a loophole is that your audience is small at the exit. One person glancing at a receipt, maybe no one at all. That moment looks like freedom. The wider picture is less forgiving. The scanner knows how much weight should land in the bagging area. The cameras above are not just cameras, they are pattern catchers, learning the difference between a loaf of bread and a bottle of shampoo. Attendants run random checks that are not random. Loss prevention teams map repeat forgetters by time, store, aisle, and item type. They do not ask if a single item was missed. They ask if the same kinds of items are missed by the same person again and again. And when the story stops being believable, the ending changes. A gentle tap becomes a firm invitation to a back room. A receipt check becomes a report. What felt like a harmless mistake becomes a civil demand letter, a trespass notice, or worse. Even when it is accidental, the correction is awkward and memorable. There is a version of this that is truly a mistake. You are tired. The kid is melting down. The screen lagged. You walk out, realize it in the parking lot, and your stomach drops. That version has a simple resolution. You turn around, you fix it, you learn a small ritual. One beep per item. Eyes on the total. The bulky thing does not live in the undercarriage until it is scanned. The forgot to scan loophole is not a magic doorway. It is a stall in attention that some people exploit until the data catches up. Real loopholes are rare. Most of what looks like one is just a risk deferred. Pay now or pay later. The mirror at self-checkout is not going anywhere. The parking validation loophole. A scrap of cardstock can lower a steel gate like magic. That's the strange power of parking validation. A tiny stamp that tells a hulking machine, let this one go. And here's the part most people miss. Those stamps don't care why you were there. They care that you touched the right counter. Validation exists to pull people in. Garages partner with tenants who hand out time credits in neat little blocks, an hour here, 2 hours there, to say thanks for showing up. The system reads a code and subtracts time from your stay. It doesn't ask if you bought a latte or a sofa. It only asks, did a participating desk vouch for you? That's the loophole. You do not have to buy anything to be a legitimate visitor. Many places validate for simple, routine touch points because the goal is flow, not friction. Guest services wants you upstairs, not arguing at a kiosk. The returns counter wants the line to move. The clinic front desk wants curbside errands wrapped. The movie theatre and box office want people in and out without punishment. The hotel lobby would rather stamp than debate. So you park, take your ticket, and head to a counter that lives to validate. Ask for a directory, pick up an event flyer, drop off a form, confirm a time for a future appointment. Exchange that online order you already refunded, which they will process as a quick courtesy. These are all normal interactions. Staff are trained to stamp so you can get on with your day. When the sticker hits your ticket, the system now believes you spent time with a partner, and your clock shifts in your favour. Here is where it gets generous. Validations often stack. A food court stamp might knock off an hour. A theatre stamp might wipe 2 more. Together, the machine sees 3 hours of credit and waves you out smiling. Policies vary, but mixed-use garages are famous for overlap. If you time it well, even a short stay can round down to 0. There is also the grace window. Many garages give a few minutes of free exit right after you pull a ticket to keep lanes clear. If you grab a fast validation during that window, the system pairs your tiny stay with a big block of credit and unlocks the arm like you were a perfect customer. No fuss, no swipe, no beep of shame. Be decent. Don't jam lines, don't argue policy. And if a place says purchase required, take them at their word. But when the sign simply says we validate, the intent is already met by stepping inside and engaging. The stamp is a handshake that pays your way out. Seek the counters built to say yes, and let the gate do what it was designed to do. Open. The trial period loophole. A clock starts the moment you sign up, and if you understand how that clock works, you walk away clean. The trial period loophole is not about tricking anyone. It is about using the rules exactly as written. Every free trial, every cooling off period, every satisfaction guarantee is a countdown in your favour if you set it up right. Here is the move. Before you touch the product, set a cancellation alarm for a couple of days before the deadline. Use the same ritual every time. Read the terms, take a quick screenshot of the page that lists the duration and the cancellation process, and note whether you need to contact support or click a button in your account. Then enjoy the thing, fully and guilt-free, because you are not freeloading, you are test driving under the exact promise they advertise. On day 1, explore like a power user. If it is software, try the premium features, import a small project, see if it actually solves your problem. If it is a gym or class pass, show up at different times, meet the staff, feel the vibe. If it is a device with a 30-day return window, live with it as if you will keep it. Load your apps, take photos in different light, check battery life by the end of a long day. The goal is to get a year's worth of clarity in a handful of days. When the alarm goes off, decide fast. If it is not a yes, cancel cleanly. Save the confirmation. If there is a retention offer, listen. Sometimes pausing the plan is smarter than quitting, because a pause buys you time without cost. If the offer is a steep discount for a limited time, you can accept, set a new alarm, and reassess before that new clock runs out. If you are on the fence, cancel anyway. You can always reactivate later with more certainty. There are pro tips that stay inside the lines. Use a dedicated email alias for trials so you never miss renewal notices. Keep a tiny note on your phone where you list the service, the start date, and the cutoff date. If a company requires a chat to cancel, open it during business hours early, not at the last minute when queues are long. If you must return a physical item, keep the packaging intact and do not scuff it. Treat it like a borrowed suit. Most important, be respectful. Do not stack multiple accounts to loop a free trial forever. Do not accidentally miss the deadline and demand exceptions. The power of the trial period loophole is that it shields you when you act on time and in good faith. You are not gaming the system. You are refusing to pay for maybes. When a clock can be your ally, you do not need to get away with anything. You just need to be on time. The student discount loophole. There's a magic word that turns full price into pocket change. Student. And here's the loophole most people miss. Companies don't secretly love teenagers. They love simple rules. If a verification service says you count as a student, the discount door swings open. That definition is wider than you think. Plenty of brands use services like Sheer ID or Unidays to check status. They are not judging your major or your age. They are looking for proof that you are enrolled somewhere legitimate. Traditional campus? Sure, but also continuing education, extension programs, part-time certificates, language institutes connected to universities, community colleges, even workforce development programs at public schools. If the program is recognized by a school they list, you qualify. That is the loophole. Student doesn't mean dorm room. It means documented learning. Here is how you use it without being shady. Pick a real course you actually want. Community colleges often let you enroll in a single low-cost class and will issue an active student record and, in many cases, a school email. University extension programs do the same, and many are fully online. Workforce development centres run short certificate programs with legitimate enrolment letters. Language centres tied to universities can provide enrolment documents as soon as you pay and register. Any one of these can satisfy verification tools because they are real schools with real rosters. Once you are enrolled, you have two pathways. Sometimes the brand accepts a school email. Other times they want a document. Save your class schedule, receipt, or enrollment confirmation as a clean PDF. When you hit the Verify button, upload the file or sign in with your school account. Create a little folder on your phone or cloud with your current proof, so renewing each term is painless. What not to do matters. Do not fabricate letters or Photoshop IDs. Many services audit, and getting flagged can lock you out permanently. Also, do not assume a .edu address is enough forever. Some brands re-verify yearly, and your deal will quietly vanish if you do not refresh it. If your program is short, stack them. Take another short course next term, or switch to an ongoing extension class that keeps your status active while you keep learning a new skill. Where the savings show up will surprise you. Premium software, cloud storage, design tools, news and research databases, headphones and laptops, gym memberships, museum passes, public transit packages in some cities. Even clothing brands and meal kits play along. You are paying a little to join a program you want anyway, then harvesting discounts that can exceed your tuition many times over. This is not a cheat code. It is a choice to be a learner. Enroll in something true, verify honestly, keep your documents tidy, and let that single word do the heavy lifting. Student. It is the most polite way to make prices behave. The Duplicate Key Loophole. Double doors, one lock, two keys, only one needs to turn. That is the duplicate key loophole. It shows up anywhere a system creates two separate ways to say yes, but only checks that one of them is used. The intention is safety and convenience. The side effect is a gap wide enough to stroll through with a smile. Think about how many approvals live in parallel. A return is valid with a receipt or a card lookup. A guest is verified by a list or a wristband. A visitor is cleared by the host or the front desk. Each path is reasonable on its own, but when the paths do not talk to each other, the gatekeeper sees a yes and stops looking for the second yes that never existed. The magic is not sneaky words. It is timing and framing. People under time pressure default to what looks finished. If one key seems to have already turned, the human brain treats the door as open. A confident stride, a familiar object, a completed-looking step, those create the feeling that the other step must have happened somewhere else. It is not malice, it is momentum. You will notice this in small, harmless moments. The volunteer who recognizes a logo and waves a person through because another team handles the list. The clerk who sees the right packaging and assumes someone already confirmed the details. The help desk that issues a temporary pass because they believe the manager asked for it, while the manager assumes the help desk verified identity. Two green lights, but they are on different panels. The reason this loophole feels so powerful is that it is not about trickery, it is about structure. Any system built on either this or that, rather than both, invites people to pick the path of least resistance. Over time, that path erodes checks and becomes the unofficial norm. Then, the exception looks like the rule. If you run anything that matters, close the space between the keys, tie the approvals together so one cannot glow without the other. Merge checkpoints, even if that means one more beat in the process. Replace either with and. A single checklist, shared logs, a small script that forces the second confirmation before the button turns green. When the paths converge, the temptation to assume disappears, and so does the loophole. If you are on the other side, assume the door that opens on one key today will lock on two tomorrow. Borrowed authority, lucky timing, parallel processes that never quite meet. Those are brittle advantages. Build a habit of getting the real yes, the one that stands when the lights change. The duplicate key loophole thrives on gaps between people. Close the gaps and it loses its charm. The fake deadline loophole. A calendar alert that was never real can move mountains. That's the fake deadline loophole. You create a near-term finish line so people sprint, even when the race actually ends later. It works because our brains love urgency, hate loss, and respond to clear edges in time. Give someone a vague soon, and they drift. Give them today, and they lunge. Here's how it plays out. You pick a safe, softer date that sits ahead of the real one. You say, I have to lock this by end of day. Can you send your approval before then? Suddenly, you're at the top of the pile. Designers jump your mock-ups forward. Managers answer your email. Support escalates your ticket. The work didn't change. The clock did. The key is plausibility without specifics that can be disproven. You are locking it, freezing scope, handing it to the printer, sending the batch, closing the books. All of those are believable edges that justify acting now. Use clean, certain language. I freeze this tonight. I submit first thing. I lose the slot if we miss today. Short, confident, calm. If you feel a twinge about honesty, set it up like a soft hold. I'm holding this slot until this evening. After that, I can't promise anything. That's not a lie. You are holding a slot in your own schedule. If they deliver early, great. If they slip, you still have your real buffer. This loophole can rescue you from silence. Waiting on a landlord to fix a leak? I've got contractors coming tomorrow unless we confirm today. Need a client to pick a direction? I freeze assets at 5. Please choose option A or B before then. Want a refund, the system says, is outside policy. I can finalise this claim today if we receive your details before closing. People understand cut-offs. They respect thresholds. Use simple tools to make it stick. Send a calendar invite that ends today. Put a visible status line at the top of your dock that says locking today. Set an auto reminder for mid-afternoon that nudges without nagging. When they respond, reward speed with speed. Close the loop fast, so they associate your deadlines with momentum, not drama. There are guardrails. Don't fake hard, irreversible events like flights, hospitals, or legal filings. Keep your fake deadline flexible, humane, and easy to unwind. Own it if you get called. I built in a buffer so we didn't slip. Happy to extend a little if needed. The point isn't to corner people, it's to create focus. The magic is subtle. You're not changing the work, you're changing the moment. A near deadline turns maybe into motion, later into now. Try it once this week on something stalled. Draw a line closer than you need. Speak it out loud and watch how fast the world moves. The warranty replacement loophole. A squeaky blender taught me a quiet secret. Not a hack, not a tantrum, but a door most people walk past. It's called the warranty replacement loophole, and it starts with 4 unglamorous things. Read the terms, keep receipts, describe the problem the way they wrote it, and stay calm while the policy does the heavy lifting. The reframe is simple. You're not begging for a favour. You're triggering a promise they already made. Picture this. You buy something that should hum. Instead, it shrieks. You try the basic resets. It works for a day, then slips back. Most of us either give up or go nuclear. There's a middle lane. You open a ticket. You log the exact error, the date, the steps. If it fails again, you follow up on the same thread. When a script urges a troubleshooting step, you do it once, note the result, and reply with evidence. After a few repeated failures on record, the agent doesn't see a complainer, they see a policy match. Here's how it sounds in real life. Hey, I followed the factory reset on Saturday and the issue returned Sunday morning. Same grinding noise, same shutdown at the 2-minute mark, attaching the video and the case number from last week. Thanks for confirming the steps. Since this is a recurring defect, we can authorize a replacement. You didn't lawyer up. You just spoke their language inside their system until the system agreed with you. Psychologically, this taps into fairness and autonomy. When people feel heard, they're more cooperative. And when you frame a request as enforcing a written standard, the rep can help without breaking a rule. You're lowering resistance by making the decision feel safe, not risky. This doesn't just work on blenders. Headphones with a wandering connection, a laptop battery that nosedives under light use, a smartwatch that fogs after normal swims. The pattern is the same. Use their words: intermittent failure, recurring defect, warranty fulfillment. Keep your tone steady. If you need to escalate, don't threaten. Invite clarity. Could you point me to the section that covers repeated failures? I want to make sure I'm following the policy. That line does 2 things at once. It shows respect, and it recenters the conversation on the agreement they offered. Is it a loophole if it's written down? That's the angle shift. The loud way says, make an exception for me. The loophole way says, honor the rule for both of us. One burns goodwill. The other builds it and wins on paper. So yes, keep the box for a bit, save emails, and talk like someone reading from the same page. The fastest path to replacement is rarely force. It's patience, precision, and proof. The company promised. You simply help them remember. That's the warranty replacement loophole. The 2-for-1 loophole. The best cheat code I know isn't sneaky, it's generous. You take one action and two problems fall away, like pushing a door that also turns on the lights. That's the two-for-one loophole. Design your move so it quietly solves something for you and something for them at the same time. Here's how it works. Instead of leading with an ask that creates work, you pair it with a built-in win for the other person. The choice you want becomes the path of least resistance because it feels fair, helpful, even thoughtful. Psychologically, that creates safety and lowers defenses, which is when cooperation actually starts to happen. For example, my co-worker used to sit on approvals until the week exploded. I stopped sending long emails and said, "I'll keep my updates to one short paragraph and highlight the exact decision you need. In return, could you reply within one day?" He laughed. "If you make it that easy, I'm in." One change, two results. I got speed, he got clarity. We both won time back. Why does that fly? Reciprocity makes us want to give back when someone reduces our load first, even in small ways. And when people feel considered, not cornered, their willingness rises. People are more cooperative when they feel heard, and the ask respects their autonomy. The loophole isn't about tricking anyone, it's about aligning incentives, so yes feels natural. Take a neighbour who blasts music during your early mornings. One approach is demands and threats. The two-for-one approach sounds like, "I'm up early and your speakers carry. I can swap my parking spot closer to your building if you could keep mornings quiet. If evenings are your jam, I'm good with that." You're not just asking for silence, you're offering convenience and showing you see their routine. One move, two outcomes. A quieter morning for you, a closer walk for them, or a friend who keeps bailing on the gym. I'll drive and bring a coffee if you choose the playlist and the workout. Deal? You remove friction and hand them control. You get consistency, they get ownership and a small perk. Again, reciprocity and autonomy do the heavy lifting. The shift is simple. Not pressure, but permission. Not "do this for me," but "let's do what helps us both." When your ask carries value for the other person baked right in, the answer becomes easier to say out loud and far easier to follow through. It feels good to agree to something that already feels good. Start scanning your day for tiny places to run the loophole. An offer that trims their effort while clarifying your request. A swap that turns your need into their relief. One gesture that unlocks two benefits is not a trick. It's how cooperation begins quickly and sticks. That's the two-for-one loophole. The empty cup loophole. An empty hand gets ignored. An empty cup gets filled. That is the loophole hiding in plain sight. The empty cup loophole is not about tricking people. It is about inviting them to help you shape the outcome. When you present yourself as complete, people push back. When you present yourself as open, they pour in support, clarity, and permission. The cup can be literal, like a mug in your hand, or symbolic, like your tone, your questions, your posture. The effect is the same. You create space others want to fill. Here is why it works. First, it lowers ego defenses. You are not challenging status. You are signaling safety. Second, it triggers completion bias. An unfinished thing begs to be finished, and a clear gap invites action. Third, it sparks generosity. People like to be the person who knows, who helps, who unlocks the door. You make that easy. Use it like this. Walk in with openness, not apology. Name a small, specific gap. Ask a soft, forward-moving prompt, then hold the silence and let them pour. When they give you even a little, reflect it back with gratitude and build on it. Each step is a pour, reflect, pour, again rhythm. Picture a hotel lobby hours before check-in. You do not announce a demand. You set your empty cup on the counter, smile and say, "I might be early." What would make it easy to slide me in when you can? You will get options. A quiet corner, a coffee, Wi-Fi, and often an early key. They feel generous. You feel taken care of. Or imagine a meeting where you are outgunned by titles and tenure. You open your notebook, lean in and say, "Before I offer a plan, what would success look like for you by next month?" They pour out their priorities. Now you can align your idea to their words, and it lands because it is already theirs. On a customer support call, begin with, "I may be missing something." What would you try first if you were in my place? The script flips. They become a guide, not a gatekeeper. There are boundaries. Never feign incompetence where safety matters. Do not waste the pour. If someone gives you time, make it count. And remember reciprocity. When your cup is full, pour back. Offer a review, a referral, a sincere thank you, or a future favour. That keeps the loop clean. Keep a few lines in your pocket. I could use your take on this. If you could teach me one thing before I try, what would it be? What would make this smooth for you? Carry an empty cup in your voice, your face, your stance. Let people see where their help fits. Watch doors that were jammed swing open, just enough for you to walk through. The fake badge loophole. Flash a piece of metal and the world parts like curtains. A glint, a brisk nod, a tone that says official, and suddenly doors unlock. Managers hurry and questions die in throats. That is the fake badge loophole. Not a gadget or a hack, but a reflex in our heads that confuses confidence for authority. We are trained from childhood to listen to uniforms, symbols, and laminated rectangles. A shiny emblem, a lanyard, a clipboard, a high visibility vest. Even the right walk, these cues whisper, do not slow them down. The brain wants to be helpful, to avoid conflict, to look like a team player. So a stranger waltzes past a checkpoint, just doing an inspection, and everyone on the inside becomes their escort. Picture it. A calm voice at the front desk, palm open to show a badge you barely see, a quick flash of a card in a vinyl sleeve, and a line like, "I'm here to follow up on the fire code issue." They use your fear of being the one who blocks an urgent fix. They lean on speed. "I've got 2 more sites tonight." They ask, "Can you buzz me through?" Now you are part of their cover story without ever agreeing to it. That is the loophole working in real time. It thrives where verification is scattered. Events with rotating volunteers, apartment buildings with a sleepy intercom, offices where everyone's too busy to challenge someone who looks official. It feeds on social pressure. You do not want to embarrass a supposed inspector or officer by demanding proof. You do not want to hold up the line. The trickster counts on that silence, those glances, that awkward smile. Breaking this spell is simple, not flashy. Slow the moment down. Real authority survives friction. Ask for full name, department, and a direct callback number. Say it out loud while you write it down. Really look at the badge. The seal, the embossing, the expiration, the alignment of text, the photo that actually matches the face. Do not accept a hand covering half the card or a quick fanning motion. Independent verification beats a confident tone every time. Call the published non-emergency line, not a number they provide. Radio dispatch if you have it. If the claim is urgent, loop in a supervisor or building management. If entry is supposed to be mandatory, ask for the written order. Real professionals are trained to expect this. The psychology here is the entire trick. Counter it with policy, not emotion. Pre-decide that nobody gets past your threshold without verification, no matter how busy, how important, or how impatient they seem. Refuse their timeline. Refuse their urgency. Keep the door closed while you check. A true badge comes with accountability. A fake one withers in sunlight. The loophole is not in the law. It is in the pause we fail to take. Make that pause a habit, and the curtain stays closed until you decide it opens. The I know a guy loophole. A single name can unlock rooms 1,000 keys could not. Not because names are magic, but because we are wired to lower our guard when a familiar thread connects us. That is the I know a guy loophole. And when you use it cleanly and ethically, friction disappears. Start by building a triangle of trust. You, the person you want something from, and the connector who bridges you. The connector can be someone you truly know, someone you have worked alongside, or even a shared touchpoint, like a mutual client or a public event you both attended. The trick is to borrow credibility without stealing it. Lead with the connector, not yourself. Instead of launching into your pitch, open with, May, from Product Compliance, suggested I reach out to you. Short, warm, checkable. Then make a small, specific ask that is easy to say yes to. Could you point me to the right form for out-of-policy returns? Specificity proves you are real and saves the other person time. Provide an exit ramp. Gatekeepers and busy people relax when they see you are not trapping them. Add, if that is not your lane, totally fine. Who should I ask instead? You are signaling respect, and respect gets you rerouted instead of rejected. Mirror the environment's language. If you're calling a clinic, say, cancellation list. If it is a construction site, say, change order. If it is a university, say, department coordinator. It shows you belong without pretending. Pair that with a tiny detail only an insider would know, like the name of the building or a recurring meeting. That tiny detail does a lot of heavy lifting. Do not drop names like confetti. Anchor them. Jordan Kim approved our last invoice in late spring is stronger than I know Jordan. Offer something back, however small. Happy to send a one-pager so you do not need to summarize this. Or I will copy Paula so she has context. Reciprocity oils the hinges. Keep it truthful. Do not invent people. Do not imply a close relationship when it is a distant hello. And never say someone promised something they did not. You are building a bridge you may need again. Burn it and the loophole closes. Here are lines that work in almost any setting. I might be wrong, but I believe Eric handles vendor onboarding. Should I loop him in? Tessa mentioned you are the person who keeps these projects on the rails. What is the cleanest way to do this by the book? We worked with your team on the Riverside rollout last fall, so I wanted to keep the same standards here. And when you arrive, close the loop. Thank the connector by name. Credit them for the introduction. Share a quick result. That is how the triangle strengthens, and why the next door opens even faster. Use the name to open the door, then your conduct to keep it open. The receipt swap loophole. A crumpled slip of paper, abandoned near the carts, looks harmless. In the wrong hands, it becomes a key. That is the quiet power of the receipt swap loophole, a trick that rides on trust, speed, and the chaos of a busy store. No complicated hacking, no dramatic getaway, just paper, timing, and the assumption that anyone holding proof of purchase must be telling the truth. Do not try this, because it is theft and it gets people arrested. But understanding it shows how tiny cracks in everyday systems can get pried open. Here is how the story usually unfolds. Someone spots a receipt, not old enough to be useless, not new enough to be noticed missing. It lists ordinary items in ordinary amounts. Now comes the performance. The person acts like a shopper, matches a couple of those listed items from the shelf, and moves with calm confidence. If they are challenged, they wave the slip like a hall pass. The psychology does the heavy lifting. Employees are trained to keep lines moving, not to interrogate every piece of paper. The clock is the accomplice. The faster the store, the smoother the trick. Sometimes the swap gets pushed further. A bad actor brings items to customer service that match the paper, claims a duplicate purchase, and asks for a return. The receipt says it is paid, so the register says it is real. The entire thing leans on a simple human habit. We see a printed record, and our guard softens. The loophole is not about brilliance, it is about exploiting routine. Here is the catch. The patchwork is catching up. Stores tie receipts to precise timestamps, register numbers, and even camera frames. Loss prevention teams look for the same faces who hover near trash cans, study printed slips, or move with too much purpose and too little shopping. Some link loyalty accounts to purchases, so a receipt without a matching profile raises a small red flag. Others audit returns that happen too fast after the supposed sale. The moment the paper no longer stands alone as proof, the trick shrinks. What makes this loophole tempting is the illusion of victimless gain. But someone pays, prices creep up, staff face suspicion, and honest customers get slowed down by new checks. The person who tries it risks trespass bans, charges, and being remembered by every manager in the district. The house always updates its rules. The real lesson is not how to exploit a receipt, but how these small, forgettable documents gate our trust. When a system depends on paper, confidence becomes currency. When the paper is paired with context, the currency hardens. Loopholes like this thrive in the space between the two. The gift card loophole. Tucked beside the candy and batteries, that shiny rack of plastic is not just impulse buys. It is a tiny rulebook dressed up as a present. Here is the quiet truth. A gift card acts like cash in one direction, store credit in another, and the space in between is where the loophole lives. Think of it like a key that only turns in certain locks. Stores run promotions on the card, not on the product. So the price tag can stay firm while the card gets sweeter. Someone pays full price for coffee every morning. You, instead, buy a card when the grocery store offers a small bonus for purchasing it, and then use that card to buy the exact same coffee you were going to buy anyway. The cup tastes the same, but your cost slid a little. You did not bend a rule, you read it. Another corner of the loophole hides in the leftover crumbs. That awkward sliver of balance most people forget. It is real money, just trapped in tiny change. Instead of letting it evaporate in a drawer, treat it like a final puzzle piece. Use it on a small necessity you will actually use, or ask, kindly and with zero pressure, how the store prefers to handle those small leftover amounts. You are not gaming anyone. You are completing a transaction the way the system already allows. There is also the promo wall you have seen 100 times. Coupon codes blocked, discounts excluded, fine print everywhere. Payment methods, though, are often just payment methods. If a sale says no coupons, it rarely says no to using a card you bought at a quiet discount. That is the difference between pushing and pivoting. You are not forcing a door, you are choosing the entrance that is open. Here is what sits under all of this. Companies design rules to steer behavior. Gift cards were built to encourage loyalty, drive prepayment, and nudge you back into the store. The loophole appears when you align your normal life with those rules on purpose. Buy what you already buy, just through the path that quietly favours you. No attitude, no arguing, no lectures to staff. A simple, calm, polite ask. If the answer is no, smile and move on. The power is not in winning a showdown, it is in knowing you have options. The gift card loophole is not about getting away with anything. It is about noticing the little hinge points most people skip past and using them with respect. Read the small print. Keep your kindness. Let the rules do the work, because the smallest rectangle in your wallet can unlock more than a purchase. It can unlock a better habit. Pay attention, play fair, and let the system carry you the rest of the way. The lost ticket loophole. There's a magic phrase that can turn a locked gate into an open path. Lost ticket. Say it and watch a complicated system suddenly simplify itself. This isn't about lying your way through life. It's about understanding how organizations handle uncertainty when their own proof is missing. When a system relies on a tiny piece of paper to establish time, ownership, or cost, the moment that paper disappears, the rules must shift to defaults, caps, or human judgment. That shift is the loophole. Picture a concrete parking garage at night. The barrier blinks red. Your dashboard says you have been here far too long, but the booth doesn't care about your dashboard. It cares about the timestamp on a slip of paper. If the slip is gone, the garage can't prove anything about your exact stay. So they fall back to a policy. Maybe it's a flat lost ticket fee. Maybe it's calling a supervisor who wants the line to move. Either way, ambiguity becomes your ally. This principle repeats everywhere. Coat checks, raffle stubs, baggage tags, valet claim checks. A token stands in for reality. Lose the token, and the system must either cap the cost, verify by sight, or escalate to a human who just wants a clean resolution. Your job is to step into that moment without panic, without a story that spirals, and let their protocol do the rest. Here is how to play it smart. Keep it short. I lost the ticket. No elaborate backstory. Ask what the policy is, not what the exception is. When people explain their standard procedure out loud, they often stick to it. Be patient and kind. Pressure invites resistance. Calm invites discretion. If offered a flat fee, do the math. Sometimes the lost ticket amount is less than a marathon stay. Other times it is higher and you walk away wiser. Bring a credible anchor if one exists. A phone photo of your car entering. A time-stamped text. A receipt from a nearby store. You are not proving every minute. You are nudging the decision maker toward a reasonable default. If a manager steps in, remember their incentives. Clear the queue. Avoid arguments. Keep it fair. Fair often equals a quick, capped outcome. Know the limits. License plate readers, digital scans, and linked accounts can reconstruct reality. In those places, the phrase unlocks nothing, and pushing will only backfire. Also, do not try this where safety or identity is at stake. The ticket is a safeguard there, not a nuisance. The lost ticket loophole is not a trick. It is a reminder that systems fear uncertainty more than they fear being a little generous. When proof disappears, policy takes over. Step into that space with honesty, brevity, and a steady voice, and let the default work for you. The mail in rebate loophole. Some deals hide in plain sight, tucked into 6-point font and redeemed with a stamp. The mail in rebate loophole lives there, and it works because companies count on your forgetfulness. They bank on lost receipts, missed deadlines, and boxes tossed without the barcode. Flip that expectation, and an ordinary purchase can turn into a near freebie or even a profit on paper. Here is the play. Start with a product that regularly cycles through promotions, like small electronics, grooming gear, or household tools. Look for a manufacturer rebate first, then find a store that stacks its own sale or gift card promo on the same item. The fine print on most manufacturer rebates only forbids combining with other manufacturer offers, not with store discounts. That difference matters. If the store is giving you a gift card at checkout and the manufacturer later sends you a check, you are stacking two separate channels, and that is the loophole. Before you buy, scan the rebate form for the hard stops. One per household, per model, per promotional period is the usual. Note the required documents like the original UPC, a dated receipt, and sometimes a serial number. Take photos of everything the moment you unbox. Slip the UPC into a labelled envelope. Save a digital copy of the receipt in a folder named with the product and the deadline. Set a calendar alert for 1 week before the postmark date. The entire system collapses if you miss the clock. At the register, Pay in a way that quietly improves the math. If your card has a rotating category bonus, use it. If a portal offers cash back for that retailer, start there. None of this conflicts with the rebate terms because they are financial choices on your end, not additional product incentives. If your store lets you price match, ask for it. Most manufacturer rebates key off the purchase date and item, not the final price. That means a lower shelf price does not disqualify you. When it is time to submit, print clean, legible forms, handwrite only if required, and block letters beat scribbles. Use a real stamp, not a meter slip from the office, and get a certificate of mailing if the check amount is meaningful to you. Keep your photos, the tracking number, and a note of the rebate centre phone line. If a card arrives instead of a check, drain it on groceries or gas where partial payments are easy. Do not let small balances expire. The punchline is simple. The rebate is not magic money. It is delayed money they hope you will forget. Make it routine. Choose items with dual promos. Respect the fine print. Beat the deadline. And let their expectations fund your discipline. The stamp is small. The leverage is real. The Rulebook Loophole. Ink on paper is not a wall. It is a map, and maps have edges. The rulebook is the same. Someone wrote it fast, under pressure, with a deadline looming and a boss hovering, and that means there are gaps where daylight sneaks through. The trick is not breaking rules. It is reading them so literally that the door they forgot to lock swings open. Start by listening to the exact words, not the vibe. Spirit says no, wording says maybe. When a sign reads no outside food, it is talking about food, not sealed drinks, not medical snacks, not what counts as equipment for a specific need. When a policy demands submission by Monday, it rarely defines the clock. Midnight? Close of business? The loophole lives in what they did not define and what they assumed you would not ask. Ask. Calmly. Where exactly does it say that? Can you show me the definition they are using? People enforce what they believe the rule means. They almost never cite the clause. When they do, you win clarity. When they cannot, you win play. If they point to a paragraph, look for verbs. Must, shall, may. Must is a brick. May is a skylight. If it says you may submit a request, it means the gate exists. Your job is to find who holds the key and what they consider a complete request. Timing is a quiet ally. Many rules are built for typical days, not edge moments. Lunch policy has an exception for off-site meetings. Building access resets at midnight, not at closing. Refund windows start at delivery, not purchase. You do not bend time. You step through the seams they left. Definitions are the spine of the whole thing. What counts as attendance? What counts as damage? What counts as public? If the rulebook fails to define, common usage often wins. If it defines poorly, the definition itself becomes your lever. You are not arguing, you are aligning yourself with the text so closely that resistance feels like changing the rule after the fact. There is a line and it matters. Harm no one. Do not hide facts. Use loopholes to solve problems, not to create messes someone else cleans up. The most elegant move is the cooperative one. Share your reading. Propose a clean outcome. Let them save face. Bureaucracies love precedents that make their lives easier. If you offer a path that obeys the wording and fixes the case, they often say yes, because saying yes requires less energy than rewriting policy. Here is the secret buried under all of this. The real loophole is preparation. If you read, ask, define, and time your moves, you do not need to break anything. You show the system what it already said you could do, and when the door opens, you walk through like you were always meant to be there. The as long as you look confident loophole. The door tends to open for the person who looks like they already own the key. That is the "as long as you look confident" loophole. It is not magic. It is momentum. People are busy, they hate friction, and they default to trusting whoever reduces their uncertainty fastest. So you do the one thing most people avoid. You decide. You start before you arrive. Give yourself a simple purpose sentence like, "I am here to handle the sound check," or "I am heading to the meeting on the 4th floor." You may never say it out loud, but it sits in your posture. Walk with a destination in mind, not a destination on your face. Chin level, shoulders relaxed, pace steady. Turn corners like you have been here before. Props help because they answer questions without words. A clipboard says schedule. A laptop tucked under the arm says task. A folded jacket over the forearm says you are between rooms, not loitering. Clothing sends signals too, but confidence is not a costume. Clean, simple and neutral beats flashy every time because it lets your body language do the talking. When you reach a threshold, do not pause and ask permission with your eyes. Ease the door, glide a step in, then acknowledge the human. Momentum first, micro greeting second. If someone engages you, keep your voice low and calm, like you have been repeating this all morning. Short sentences, specific nouns, no over-explaining. Over-explaining is the nervous apology that invites scrutiny. Confident looks like, "I am with operations, heading to the conference room," or "I am dropping this to Mariah on level 3, then move." Movement convinces. If they challenge, do not fight the frame. Accept it and redirect. Try a gentle assumption. Totally, do you want me checked in at reception or straight to the room? You offer them an easy path to yes that still honors their role. People like to be helpful when you make helpful the simplest option. If they push again, escalate clarity, not volume. "Greg is expecting this. I am late by a few minutes. Happy to wait by the table over there." You set a place for yourself inside their map. Eye contact matters, but not the kind that drills holes. Look where you're going, then to the person, then back to the path. Nod once, smile like you recognize them from somewhere non-threatening. Keep your hands visible. If you need to name drop, choose functions over titles. "I am with vendors" reads as less arrogant and more plausible than "I am important." This loophole is not licensed to be a jerk. It is a tool to move through the world with fewer speed bumps. Use it to help, to solve, to shortcut nonsense. The trick is simple. Decide, then behave like the decision is already normal. Confidence is not loud, it is smooth. And smooth makes everyone else's day easier, which is why they let you through. The guest Wi-Fi loophole. Somewhere between the coffee machine and the router lies a doorway that everyone forgets about. Not the locked door with the key card, the other one, the smiling, wide-open entrance labelled guest. It is the polite handshake of modern buildings. Please make yourself at home, but not too much. And that tiny boundary is exactly where a loophole lives. Most places run two networks without saying it out loud. There is the serious lane where employees, residents and students live, packed with rules, filters and logs. Then there is the visitor lane, designed for speed and minimal friction, because no one wants a client wrestling with an app install just to check their email. The guest lane wears a friendly face. Click agree, smile at the splash page, and you are through. The trick is not about passwords, it is about policy. Rules cling to identities, your badge, your account, your managed device. The guest lane is none of those things. It does not care who you are so long as you are temporary. That means the strict office firewall that scolds you in the main lane turns bashful in the guest one. The school filter that chaperones every page suddenly loosens its grip. And the apartment network that throttles big downloads often leaves the visitor lane alone because visitors do not hang around long enough to cause trouble. That is the theory anyway. People use it in soft ways. The employee with a personal tablet that the security team refused to onboard. The student whose laptop keeps tripping the dorm antivirus policy. The tenant who wants to stream one more episode after the main network curfew clicks in. They all wander into that guest lobby because it is there, it works, and it does not ask many questions. If something goes wrong, well, you were just a guest. There is a second layer to the loophole too. Guest portals tend to think in short memories. They reset every day or every few hours. They let you in again if you look a little new, or if you simply play along with the sign-in dance. The hotel prints the password on a key card sleeve. The cafe tapes a QR code on the napkin holder. The office posts a sign for vendors. The path of least resistance becomes a policy exemption disguised as hospitality. Now the grown-up note. Network administrators are not fools. Logs exist. Cameras exist. Terms exist. If you use the guest lane to be reckless, you are counting on indifference, not invisibility. The real loophole is simpler and more honest. When rules only apply to the people lane, the visitor lane becomes the escape hatch by design. You do not need to sneak. You just step lightly, borrow the courtesy, and leave no mess when you go. The subscription cancel loophole. There's a quiet switch hiding behind every cancel button. Companies build mazes. You just need to flip the lights. The subscription cancel loophole isn't secret code or a back door. It's the moment you stop following their path and make them follow yours. Picture this. Maya opens her inbox and realizes her free trial turns paid at midnight. She taps through the website. Upgrade offers. Loyalty discounts. A timer that says she'll lose premium features. A live chat pops up. Before you go, can we offer 3 months at half price? She sighs. I just want to cancel. The agent replies, totally get it. Do you want to pause instead? That's the maze working as designed. Friction, delay, one more click, then another. Here's the flip. Maya switches her stance from asking for directions to issuing a simple, specific action. She types, please process a full cancellation effective today and send written confirmation to this email. Then she stops. No explanation, no debate, no wandering into their offers. If they stall, she mirrors the tone, then repeats the single sentence. Please process a full cancellation effective today and send written confirmation to this email. It's calm. It's precise. It is the new default. Psychologically, that move matters because people tend to follow the path of least resistance. When you remove the wiggle room, you shift the burden back to the system that created the friction in the first place. The ask is clear, time-bound, and verifiable, and clarity invites compliance. If needed, add one nudge. Kindly provide the support case number for this cancellation. The moment a record exists, incentives change. It is often easier for them to complete the cancellation than to extend the conversation. Why does this work so often? Companies rely on inertia. Tiny roadblocks pile up until you accept the discount, agree to a pause, or forget. A single repeatable line cuts through because it reframes the interaction from negotiation to execution. Psychologically, you're invoking fairness and autonomy. You're not arguing, you're choosing. And people are more cooperative when the choice is explicit and uncomplicated, especially when it's written down and tied to a confirmation. If you ever doubt it, run a quick test with something low stakes like a monthly app you barely use. Open support. Breathe, then deploy the line word for word. Notice how the extra offers feel less tempting once you've named the action you want. That's the power of a clean script paired with a clear scene. Keep it human, keep it simple, and let the conversation do the work. The loophole isn't sneaking out. It's walking straight out the front door you were meant to think was locked. Name the exit, ask for the proof, and let their system usher you through. That's the subscription cancel loophole. the "it was already broken" loophole. There is a sentence that turns blame into a ghost. It was already broken. Simple, soft and slippery enough to slide past anger. Say it right and the room exhales. Say it wrong and you look guilty. The trick is that this line is not about denial, it is about framing. You are not creating a problem, you are inheriting one. You did not break it, you discovered it. Start by acting like a person who notices things. The moment you touch the object, clock the detail, a loose hinge, a hairline crack, a flicker, a wobble. If you can see it, you can say it. And if you can say it early, you own the timeline. Early beats loud. That means you casually mention it before a crisis ever happens. Hey, the latch on this was already sticking when I picked it up. You are not accusing anyone. You are documenting reality the way a helpful bystander would. Tone matters more than words. Keep it light, puzzled, almost helpful. Swap outrage for curiosity. That looks like it was already chipped. You are not defending yourself, you are making an observation. Pair that with a small action that signals care. You set it down gently. You step back so everyone can see. You give space for agreement. People like to agree with calm facts. Add one small sensory detail that says you paid attention. I noticed the drawer catches on the left side. The screen felt warm when I found it. 1 detail is believable, 5 is suspicious. You are painting a thumbnail, not a mural. If someone challenges you, you widen the circle. I actually flagged it earlier because I did not want it to get worse. I figured it was worth noting. This shifts the story from blame to maintenance. You are not dodging, you are trying to prevent. Timing is your best ally. If you walk into a rental car, snap a quick photo of the scuff and send a polite note right away. If you arrive at a place and the lamp wobbles, mention it while you still have your coat on. Preemptive honesty is a force field. You are planting a flag before the storm. Avoid overplaying it. Do not rehearse a courtroom speech. Do not pile on extra flourishes. Short, steady, and slightly concerned wins. And if the tide still turns toward you, pivot to solutions. I am happy to help check the other ones. Want me to write that down so it is on record? Helpers do not look like culprits. Use this with a conscience. The line is a shield for unfair blame, not a license to be reckless. Because the real power of it was already broken is not sneaking away from responsibility. It is guiding everyone back to reality, where problems existed before you and can be fixed after you without turning the room into a hunt. The grey area loophole. A rule can be perfectly written and still crack at the edges. That crack is the grey area loophole, a space where you are not exactly breaking anything, but you are definitely bending something. Think about the store return policy that says unworn, tags attached. Someone wears the outfit for an evening with the tag tucked, then returns it the next morning. The letter is met. The spirit is steamrolled. Or the free trial that renews after 30 days. You cancel on day 29 and start again with a new email, again and again. No alarms go off. No law is broken. Yet something about it feels like picking a lock with a smile. Grey areas exist because most rules are written for normal use, not edge cases. The language has to be broad enough to be simple, and broad invites loopholes. Ambiguity slips in. Enforcement costs money. Incentives pull in strange directions. That is why a parking sign can tell you not to park during street cleaning, and someone will sit there with the engine running until the exact minute the sweeper passes. Technically fine, obviously cheeky. So here is the real playbook. Not for sneaking around, but for understanding the terrain. Letter versus spirit. The letter is what the rule says. The spirit is why it exists. Whenever those split, a loophole opens. Cost of enforcement. If it is expensive to police, people will push it. Ambiguity and intent. If a rule never imagined your move, you can pull it off at least once. And then there is the crowd factor. If everyone starts doing it, the loophole collapses under its own popularity and the door slams shut. There are consequences you do not see on the surface. You can be technically right and still lose access. Companies ban accounts. Stores flag repeat returns. Friends stop inviting the person who always brings a loophole to dinner. And every clever exploit you squeeze today tends to make tomorrow worse for everyone because the rules get longer, clunkier, and less human. So how do you navigate the grey? Try 3 quick lenses. First, would you explain your move proudly to the person who wrote the rule? Second, if everyone copied you, would the system still work? Third, if the roles were reversed, would it feel fair? If you can say yes across the board, you are probably operating in that narrow path where clever meets clean. The grey area loophole will always exist. It is a mirror more than a map. It shows what you value when no one is watching, leverage or trust. You can yank on every loose thread and maybe get away with it, or you can learn where the seams are and use them to move smarter, not smaller. The choice is not whether a loophole exists. It is who you become when you find one. The Roundabout Loophole. Every city has that one circle where the rules wrinkle. You glide in, the world blurs into a carousel of blinker lights and painted arrows, and suddenly you're everywhere and nowhere at once. That is the Roundabout Loophole, the peculiar magic of being continuously in motion, technically going somewhere while practically going nowhere at all. Picture this: a street with impatient horns, a curb policed like a museum exhibit, and a sign that whispers a very firm no to stopping. Your friend texts, "I am almost there, promise," which translates to at least a few minutes. You enter the roundabout. 1 lap and a breath. Another lap and a song chorus. The clock moves, your wheels do too, and the letter of the rule nods along. You are not parked. You are not idling in a forbidden lane. You are in transit, haloed by yield signs and courtesy. A driver I knew treated that circle like a waiting room on a conveyor belt. He sipped coffee between exits, waved at the same pedestrian twice, and kept a gentle orbit while his passenger raced down the steps with a backpack half zipped. By the 3rd pass, the car door opened in one rhythm with the turn signal, and they were gone, absorbed by the stream. Spirit of the rule? Absolutely broken. Letter of the rule? Unfurrowed brow, clean slate. That is the strange fairness of loopholes. They are not lies. They are not confessions either. They live between ink and intention, darting into phrases like in transit, reasonable progress, continuous flow. The roundabout is honest with you. It says, keep moving and you belong. Step outside that promise and everything changes. Of course, the circle cannot protect you from common sense. If your orbit becomes a spectacle of impatience, if you cut across lines or forget that other drivers have places to be, the loophole collapses on contact with reality. And sometimes reality stares back in a navy uniform with a notepad. The wisest drivers learn the other unwritten rule. A loophole is not a right. It is a pause before consequences catch up. There is a bigger lesson spinning here. You can find roundabouts in conversations, in offices, in bureaucracies. Everywhere something is set up to keep things moving. Do not want to answer a question directly. Circle with context. Want to buy time on a deadline. Loop through clarifications and drafts. Every orbit buys seconds, not salvation. The trick is knowing when to take the exit with grace. So yes, the roundabout loophole works until it doesn't. It lets you float in the legal grey, hands steady, eyes forward, the world circling like a calm storm. But every circle offers exits for a reason. Use the orbit to align, to breathe, to be clever without being careless. Then signal, commit, and take your road. Or the Bystander Loophole. Crowds are the best camouflage. When everyone is watching, no one is. The Bystander Loophole lives in that gap, a little pocket of permission that appears when more eyes arrive. It is not a legal trick. It is a human one. The brain says, surely someone else has this. And with that, responsibility slides off like rain from a slick coat. Picture a busy sidewalk where a backpack is unzipped and spilling. Heads turn, feet slow. People glance at each other, searching for a cue. In that split second of shared uncertainty, the person who caused the mess can drift on. Not because they are invisible, but because they are surrounded by witnesses who think someone else will act first. Put the same scene on a quiet street with one passer-by, and the script flips. When it is just you, there is no one else to nominate. This loophole stretches beyond accidents. A confident stride, a reflective vest, a clipboard tucked under the arm, and strangers assume legitimacy. Doors open, questions soften, and small breaches slip through. It is not magic. It is social proof. The shortcut the mind uses to save time. If everyone seems comfortable, you will likely be comfortable too. If nobody moves, you will likely wait as well. The danger is not just that people get away with things, it is that we let them. Ambiguity loves a crowd. Ambiguity loves politeness. Ambiguity loves the way we do not want to be the first one to make a fuss. That is the hinge the bystander loophole swings on. Diffusion of responsibility, multiplied by uncertainty, greased by our desire to belong. So how do you close it? Strip away the fog. One person, taking one clear action, collapses the loophole. Speak to a single human being, not the air. You, in the denim jacket, call emergency services. You, with the backpack, step back from the edge. I am going to block off this space right now. Direct language turns a crowd into a team. Specifics beat generalities every time. Signal your intent with your body. Step forward, not sideways. Make eye contact. Name what you see. That bag is unattended. This person needs help. Say it out loud, even if your voice shakes. Once one person acts, everyone else has permission to follow, because you just created a new social proof. Action, not silence. The bystander loophole is real, but it is fragile. It only holds when we agree to hold it up together. Break the spell by naming the task, naming the person, and becoming the first mover. When responsibility has a name, it stops trying to escape. And in that moment, the loophole closes. The policy change loophole. Rules bend most cleanly the moment they are rewritten. That tiny hinge where yesterday's rule becomes today's update is the policy change loophole. It is not about being sneaky. It is about knowing how systems work when they rewrite themselves and using that confusion to your fair advantage. Here is what happens inside any company, school, or service when a policy shifts. First, frontline staff are still working from muscle memory, so the old script and the new script collide. Second, links, emails, and handouts rarely change all at once, so conflicting documents exist at the same time. Third, leadership expects a few bumps and builds in a grace period to smooth them out. That moment is your opening. Start by collecting what the organization publicly says. Old page versus new page. Old handbook versus new handbook. Take note of dates, even if it is just updated this month. Next, ask one calm question. What is the effective date? If they say it already applies to you, ask how and when you were notified. Many policies require advance notice or apply only to new sign-ups. If they cannot show notice, you are not arguing. You are asking to be grandfathered under the prior terms. If a fee or penalty suddenly appears, say this: I relied on the previous policy in good faith. I am requesting the earlier terms be honoured or a grace period applied. Then ask for a written confirmation. If the person in front of you is unsure, request a policy review rather than a favour. That phrase matters. A policy review invites a supervisor, compliance or retention team, and those teams live to prevent messy exceptions by offering clean ones. When there is a real clash between documents, point to the most specific, dated source. The posted policy should supersede a script. If they insist the update controls, you can ask for a transition accommodation, waive, reduce, or delay. You are not demanding a loophole. You are offering them the path they already designed to handle change without drama. A few examples make this stick. Your gym adds a new cancellation fee. You joined under no fee. Ask for the effective date and grandfathering. An airline tweaks baggage rules after you booked. Show the booking date and request the earlier allowance. A school shifts a submission window mid-term. Refer to the syllabus you received at the start and ask for the original deadline to apply. In each case, the same mechanism works. Effective date, notice, reliance, review, written confirmation. Use this with respect. The goal is not to dodge responsibility. It is to be treated fairly when the ground moves under your feet. Find the hinge. Push gently. Let the door swing. The nobody checks loophole. The quietest door in any system is the one labelled assumed. Most people walk past it. The nobody checks loophole is simply this. When you present yourself as if you already belong in the next step, most structures let you through because it matches what they expect to see. Not tricks, but fit. Not force, but momentum. That's the move. Picture a jammed phone line at a city office. If you call saying, "Who handles address changes?" you become another problem to route. But when you open with, "I'm following up on the blue address update form. Records said Maria's team would tag it today," you've placed yourself inside their workflow. You still tell the truth, you just frame it in their language. Suddenly the person on the other end has one easy option: move you forward. Psychologically, this works because people rely on fast patterns, default to the simplest consistent story, and say yes when a request feels precise and aligned with a known process, especially when it reduces friction in the moment. Or take event access that technically closed yesterday. Instead of asking, "Can I still sign up?" try, "I can help at check-in from 9 to 10 and bring labels. If someone dropped, place me there." You are not demanding special treatment. You are offering an easy solve to a common headache. Many times the organizer replies, "Perfect, you're in." It's not that rules vanished, it's that you offered a ready-made role that fits how the system already operates. Customer service is similar. Lead with a calm summary, name their standard, propose the fix. Service was down on your end, and you usually waive the fee in that case. Applying that credit today would match your policy. Clear, specific, aligned. When a path feels familiar, the gatekeeper takes it. In human terms, when X feels safe and reduces effort, it leads to Y, compliance, relief, and progress. There's a flavour of presence here. You're not bluffing, you're reducing uncertainty. You're choosing details that make someone else's job easier, which is why the door opens. Not because you're louder, but because you're clearer. That contrast matters. It's not pushing past people, it's stepping into the role they're already prepared to see. A caveat. Use this ethically. Move what should already move. Skip pointless friction, not fairness. The moment you use "nobody checks" to take what isn't yours, you're not smart. You're burning a bridge someone else has to cross. The real power is to help systems do what they're meant to do with less waste, fewer loops, and more trust. In the end, the best loopholes are not holes in rules, they're gaps in attention. Speak the pattern, offer the path, and step through. The nobody checks loophole isn't about getting away with everything. It's about getting through to what actually matters. The courtesy loophole. A soft voice can open doors that metal keys never touch. Not because rules vanish, but because people do, and people decide how strictly those rules meet you. That's the courtesy loophole. When you treat someone with steady, specific respect, the shoulder drops, the guard lowers, and the path you need appears faster than it should. This isn't flattery, it's precision. You acknowledge effort, not status. You ask for help, not a miracle. You position the person in front of you as the hero of the scene, and suddenly they are motivated to play the part. Picture a packed counter at an airport. Everyone is tense, voices sharp, timelines melting. You step up and start with, "You've had a rough stream of requests. I'm hoping to make this easy. My connection evaporated, and the first seat that gets me home is perfect." No sighing, no blame. A clear ask, wrapped in respect. The agent's shoulders soften. Fingers go to work. Space appears on a flight that was supposedly done for the day. Or a front desk where policy says, "No exceptions." You don't swing a policy bat. You hand them dignity. You know the rules inside out. If you were me, what would you try? Guidance, not permission. Collaboration, not confrontation. When someone is trusted as the expert, they usually try to live up to it. Psychologically, this taps into reciprocity, where a small kindness invites a small kindness back, and that spiral is powerful when emotions run hot. Here's why this works beyond the moment. Courtesy lowers defenses. It builds safety. And in safety, people become more flexible, more creative, more willing to solve with you instead of against you. We mirror the tone we receive. Offer heat. Get heat. Offer ease. Get options. It's not manipulation, it's alignment. Use tiny tools. Name the shared goal. We both want this cleared quickly. Give a real micro compliment about effort. You're juggling a lot with grace. Ask for the smallest viable step. What's the next best move? Keep your sentences short when tension rises, then pause. Let silence do some of the lifting. Limitations exist. Sometimes the answer is truly no. The loophole doesn't guarantee a yes. It guarantees a better no, or the fastest route to the best possible yes. And the craziest part. Even when you don't get what you want, you leave less damage behind. Doors you'll need later stay intact. Most people try to overpower systems. The courtesy loophole sidesteps the fight, not by breaking rules, but by changing the emotional climate where rules get applied. That's the quiet advantage. It's not a hack you use on people. It's a habit that turns people into allies. A soft voice, a clear ask, a little grace. Watch what opens. The computer error loophole. A blinking screen freezes, a receipt prints twice, and suddenly the whole room pretends the machine is the boss. That tiny moment is your opening. Not to manipulate, but to redirect. It is the computer error loophole. Here is the idea. When something goes wrong and a human might feel blamed, point to the ghost in the machine. Not them, not you, the system. It sounds simple, but it flips the energy of the interaction from defense to teamwork. Psychologically, moving the target from a person to a process lowers threat and invites cooperation. People feel safer, so they help faster. Watch how it plays out. You notice your card was charged twice at checkout. Instead of saying, "You charged me twice," you take a breath and say, "It looks like the system grabbed it 2 times. Could we roll one back?" The cashier is not being accused. They are being recruited. 9 times out of 10, their shoulders drop. Let me see. "Oh, weird, it did. I can fix that." You did not escalate. You invited a solve. Or your workplace portal rejects a timesheet. You could write, "You rejected my hours." Or you can try, "It looks like the portal hiccuped on my submission. I re-uploaded just now. Can you confirm it came through? Same facts, different focus. Not you versus them. The two of you versus the glitch. It lowers defenses, it builds trust, it gets things done. This works because humans protect face. Call it pride, call it dignity. Either way, when we feel blamed, we harden. Shift the blame to a neutral thing, and people regain autonomy without losing status. In practice, that means less arguing, more solving. Not guilt, but grace. Not accusation, but alignment. It is not about lying. Do not invent problems. Use it when systems genuinely stumble or when assigning personal fault adds nothing. The power is in framing. Try phrases like, "It looks like the software skipped a step. The scanner may have doubled it," or "somewhere in the process this got stuck." Each line leaves room for the person to be helpful without feeling cornered. If you want a quick script, here is a rhythm you can keep. Name the neutral culprit, ask for partnership, and thank the person by name. I think the app glitched the reservation. Could you help me refresh it, Maya? Thanks for taking a look. You have moved from confrontation to collaboration in one breath. And because you made it easy to say yes, yes shows up more often. The loophole is not magic. It is a small human reframe that nudges problems toward people who are willing to solve them with you. When the machine becomes the villain, the person can become an ally. And that is the quiet power of the computer error loophole. The unwritten rule loophole. Walk past a velvet rope with a clipboard and a nod, and doors open that signs never could. That is the unwritten rule loophole. It is not about breaking rules. It is about slipping into the gaps between them, where people rely on social cues more than printed policy. When the situation is unclear, confidence writes the script, everyone else follows. Here is the shift. Most rules live on paper, but enforcement lives in people. People run on shortcuts. If you look like you belong, sound like you belong, and move like you belong, you are filed under yes by default. The trick is to offer a story so simple that denying you takes more effort than waving you through. Start with a role. Pick the most boring, helpful role in the room. Technician, coordinator, runner, guest of a guest. You do not need a costume. A plain jacket, a tote, a calm face, and something in your hand become the uniform. The moment you approach a gatekeeper, set your tempo first. Walk with purpose. Pause just long enough to be seen, and speak as if you are continuing an ongoing task. Lead with clarity, not questions. Do not ask if you can do the thing. Announce what you're doing and invite a small correction. On your way into a crowded venue, do not say, "Can I go in?" Say, checking levels on stage left. Still through here, right. 9 times out of 10, the person confirms their own script and gestures you forward. You gave them an easy job. Agree or redirect. Either way, you move. Borrow authority politely. Mention a neutral reference that nobody wants to slow down. With the returns counter swamped, do not plead your case from 0. Step up with a calm, "Hey, I spoke with someone earlier about an exchange. They said to come straight here. You do not need a name." The phrase "someone earlier" suggests a chain that already started. The simple path is to keep it moving. Use the thank you that ends the conversation. As soon as you get the nod, close the loop with a confident thanks. "I will be quick. Appreciate it." Then go. Do not linger. Do not over-explain. Momentum is proof. The unwritten rule loophole is not magic. It is manners with direction. You are not smashing barriers. You are removing friction for the other person. You show up as help, not as a problem. That is why it works in lobbies, lines, doors, and desks. It is the human default to cooperate with someone on a mission. Use it to make life smoother, not smaller. Upgrade a table without drama. Get a late checkout without begging. Guide a tricky situation into a simple one. Speak like you belong, move like you have purpose, and watch how often the world steps aside. The membership loophole. Doors don't open because you deserve them. They open because the sign says members only, and your label matches the sign. The membership loophole is simple. Most rules are written with carve-outs, not for the rich, for the listed. If you can get your name into a defined category, the rule stops applying to you, clean and legal. Public becomes private, off-limits becomes standard procedure, and the velvet rope becomes a suggestion. Think about it. Residents park where visitors get tickets. Vendors roll carts through staff corridors while customers get told to wait outside. Students access software suites that businesses pay thousands for. Volunteers walk into backstage zones because the lanyard says they belong. The difference isn't money or status, it is membership. Start by reading the rule like a lawyer reads a contract. Somewhere, buried in small print or big letters, it says, except for. That phrase is your treasure map. Residents, tenants, students, press, vendors, partners, researchers, volunteers, members, those words are doors. Now locate the legitimate path that fits your life. You don't need to fake anything. Become a resident for a day by renting the community room at a co-working space, and you are a tenant with access to on-site facilities for the reservation window. Join a local museum at the lowest tier and you tap into reciprocal entry across sister institutions nationwide. Enroll in a single community college course and your student status unlocks library stacks, maker labs and academic software you can actually use to build real things. Offer to volunteer for an event and suddenly the moment you give is the credential you carry. The trick is to speak the language of the door. Don't plead, present. I am here as a vendor for load-in. I am on the research appointment schedule for today. I am using the tenant conference room and need the elevator key. Gatekeepers aren't trying to block you, they are trying to confirm a category, give them one they recognize, and you glide. Always keep proof in your pocket. A confirmation email, a day pass, a membership card, a syllabus, a volunteer shift sheet. You are not asking for a favor, you are invoking an exception. When you can hold it up, people say yes, because the system already did. Here's the beautiful part. Membership scales. A library card becomes access to databases your competitors pay through the nose for. A neighborhood association tag turns street parking into home turf. A makerspace membership converts. Do not touch into why don't you try it. Over time, you stop begging at windows and start walking through side doors. None of this is shady. It is respectful. You trade a small commitment for a big permission. You contribute, you belong, the rules shift. That's the membership loophole. So map a rule in your way. Find the except for. Choose the cleanest path into that category. Get the credential. Carry the proof. Speak the language. Watch doors decide you look familiar. The just following orders. Loophole. Ink can look like armor. A signature at the bottom of an email, a memo with your name in small letters, and the directive arrives. Do this. The heartbeat slows a little because the burden feels lighter when it is passed down the chain. That is the seduction of the just following orders loophole. It promises safety without responsibility, like stepping behind a curtain you hope is bulletproof. Here is the idea. That curtain is tissue paper. The phrase might shield you from confrontation in the moment, but it does not shield you from the consequences that come with your choices. The real move is not to hide, but to step forward and make the choice visible. Picture this. Your manager slides over a request. We need those numbers adjusted to make last quarter look cleaner. You stare at the spreadsheet. Adjusted how? You ask. You know, just smooth it out. The room hums. There is a quiet second. where your brain searches for the escape hatch labelled orders. You could nod, do it, and tell yourself the decision belongs to whoever wrote the email. Or you could keep the decision where it belongs, with you. I can clarify the story behind the numbers, you say, but I won't change the facts. If we need a different outcome next quarter, let's talk about the plan. Psychologically, this matters because our minds are wired to obey authority and to spread blame until it feels thin enough to carry. Authority bias and diffusion of responsibility are comfortable stories that let us act without feeling like the actor. Naming the choice pulls the story back to you, which is uncomfortable but also honest and protective. So how do you close the loophole without blowing up your career? Start by asking for specifics. Vague orders are where bad decisions hide. Then say the risk out loud in plain language. If we do X, here is what it means for customers, for the audit, and for us. Offer a clean alternative that still solves the boss's problem. We can annotate the variance, gather context from the field, and use that to fix the process. If pressure continues, create daylight. Can you confirm that direction in writing? Or let's loop in finance so we all agree. You are not being difficult. You are moving the decision to a place where it can carry its own weight. Notice what happens when you do this. The room gets quieter, not colder. You set a standard that others can lean on when their own courage wobbles. You also protect your future self from a story you cannot defend. And the surprising bonus is trust. People learn that your yes means yes, and your no means you are guarding something important. The just following orders loophole closes the moment you open your mouth and claim your choice. That is where real safety lives, not behind a signature, not under a memo, in the simple act of owning your decision out loud. The lost and found loophole. A rainy Tuesday handed me a mystery I didn't ask for. I was wedged on a bus, headphones on, when a sleek black camera case slid against my shoe like it had chosen me. Nobody around claimed it. No frantic pat-downs. No, "Hey, that's mine!" Just a silent dare from the universe. Here's where most people do the math wrong. They think the choice is keep it or announce it, but there's a third option hiding in plain sight. Most places have a policy that if you turn a found item in and nobody claims it after a set period, the finder has the first right to pick it up. Not shady, not sneaky, just the rule book few people read. So I walked that camera to the transit lost and found, gave my name, the route, the time, and a calm description. No haggling, no nudging. The clerk slid a form across the counter, stamped it and said, "If it's still here after the waiting period, we'll call you." That's the entire trick. You create a paper trail the owner can follow, and if they never do, the trail leads back to you. Weeks passed, life got loud, then a quiet voicemail. "Your found item is eligible for pickup." When I opened that case, the camera wasn't brand new, but it worked, and it came with a memory card full of sunset practice shots. I cleared the photos, took my own, and smiled at the odd fairness of it. I didn't take anything. I just waited while the system did exactly what it was designed to do. You can find versions of this everywhere. City clerks, museum desks, stadiums after concerts, hotels with a back room of forgotten chargers and jackets. Even airports funnel unclaimed stuff to auctions, where the rules are public and the deals feel like rumours. The pattern is simple. Ask for the policy without sounding clever. Be precise, be patient, and let the clock do the heavy lifting. There's an art to this, and it isn't hunting for treasure. It's earning it by being the only person who actually follows through. You hand the item over, you get a receipt, you go home. If someone comes for it, great. If not, you become the default solution. The loophole isn't a secret door. It's a wide open entrance marked procedures that most people ignore. So the next time luck drops something at your feet, skip the guilt and the grab. Choose the lost and found path. If the owner appears, you did the right thing. If they don't, the system remembers you. and sometimes it hands you the prize you already proved you deserved. The first come first served loophole. The clock decides winners long before the game begins, not because anyone is faster, but because someone quietly moved the starting line while everyone else was tying their shoes. First come, first served sounds like the fairest rule in the world. Line up, wait your turn, no special treatment. But here's the loophole. First is rarely about feet on a sidewalk. It's about timestamps, resets, and definitions. If you learn how first is measured, you stop racing the crowd and start controlling the gate. Picture this. I'm at the city desk trying to book a permit. The clerk shrugs. Our slots open at 9. The line forms at 8. People bring coffee and folding chairs. A woman whispers, I was here at 7 last week and still missed it. Meanwhile, someone across town is in pajamas, refreshing a web page synced to the agency's server time, not local time. Their calendar flips open at 8:59, and a handful of silent clicks beat a courtyard full of footsteps. Same rule, different definition of first, or the warehouse sale with first 100 shoppers get the deal. Everyone plans to show up at dawn, but the wristbands were handed out by overnight security at 4, and the staff treat wristband order as the line. A guy arrives at 6, walks past a sea of blankets, flashes wristband 12, and strolls inside. He didn't cut the line. He followed the line you didn't know existed. Psychologically, the phrase first come, first served feels fair because it sounds objective, which is exactly why people stop looking for the invisible settings behind it. It creates urgency and a sense of order, lowering scrutiny and making us accept the surface rules as the only rules. So how do people move the starting line without breaking it? They ask what first actually means. Is it postmark or delivery date? Server receipt or payment cleared? Check-in time or the moment you grab a wristband? They ask when first begins. Midnight server time or door time? Daily reset or per branch reset? Then they ask whether there are multiple firsts, one per colour, per size, per entrance, per category. The crowd races a single line, the patient hunter finds 3. Here's the reframe. It's not about speed, it's about position. Not about waking earlier, about standing where the clock starts counting you. In practice, that looks like syncing your clock to the source that stamps received, choosing the smallest window where attention is low, and stepping into overlooked categories that count as separate cues. It means calling ahead and asking the exact words they use to verify first, then matching your approach to their words. Because first come, first served is a shell. The real game is deciding what first means, when first begins, and which first everybody else forgot. Once you see it, you stop running faster and start arriving earlier without moving at all, and the line, like a mirage, slips quietly behind you. The Anonymous Loophole. Drop the name and watch a locked door swing open. That's the Anonymous Loophole. When emotions are hot and stakes are high, we instinctively point a finger at a person. The moment we do, their guard goes up and our idea goes nowhere. Strip the name off. Keep the truth intact, and the wall you were pushing against quietly turns into a door. Here is how it sounds in real life. You want your co-worker to stop dropping the ball. Instead of saying, "You missed the deadline again," try, "When deadlines slip, the team loses weekends." What would make on time easy? Same facts, zero accusation. The message shifts from a verdict about a person to a problem both of you can solve. Psychologically, that small shift creates a sense of safety, which lowers resistance and invites collaboration. Or picture a roommate who blasts music at midnight, not "you're inconsiderate." Try, "Late night noise wrecks early morning focus." What helps us both sleep well? You are naming the behavior and its impact, not branding the person. Another friend cancels plans at the last minute. Instead of, "You always bail," say, "Last minute changes leave me scrambling. Can we set a time that's solid for both of us?" The pattern continues. Remove identity, spotlight effect, invite the fix. Why does this loophole work so reliably? Identity talk feels like an attack. Behavior talk feels like a choice. Choice is empowering. When people feel safe, they listen longer, consider alternatives, and move with you instead of against you. That safety unlocks better conversations because defenses are lower and the pathway to agreement is clearer. If emotions are already running high, mirror feelings first, then propose the path forward. A simple, "I get why this is frustrating," keeps the drawbridge down long enough for your idea to walk in. There is a line you do not cross. Anonymous does not mean slippery. Own your slice. Be specific about the behavior, honest about the impact, and clear about the next step. The loophole isn't a trick that lets you duck responsibility. It is a lens that removes ego from the equation so the truth can breathe. Try it the next time you need a yes where you keep getting a no. Take the name off the complaint, frame the effect, offer the path, and let people choose to meet you there. The biggest breakthroughs are often the quiet ones no one notices because they arrive without blame or drama. That is the anonymous loophole. Say less about who did it, more about what will fix it, and you will be amazed how often the answer turns into yes. Done well, this small reframe changes how you see the world and how the world responds to you. The ask for forgiveness, not permission. Loophole. Power tilts toward whoever moves first. Most people wait for a green light. The loophole is to take a small reversible step and give others something real to react to. That's the spirit behind asking for forgiveness, not permission. It is not recklessness. It is momentum with a seatbelt. Picture a messy project at work. Deadlines drift. Everyone is stuck debating hypotheticals. You quietly build a one-page draft that organizes tasks, owners, and timelines. Then you send a calm note. "I mocked up a starting point so we can move. If this is off, I will adjust today." Now, instead of arguing about whether to begin, people react to what exists. The default has shifted. Removing a draft feels harder than ignoring an idea. And because you promise to fix it, you lower the stakes and their defenses. Psychologically, offering a tangible option plus an easy out creates a sense of safety and makes collaboration more likely. Another scene. A community space has a bulletin board where events seem to die in committee. You design a clear, friendly flyer for a small meetup. Put it up and include your contact. If someone says, "Who approved this?" you smile and say, "You are right. I jumped the gun. I will take it down if it causes trouble." Most of the time, the very fact that it exists draws interest, and your willingness to own it disarms friction. Not permission first, but responsibility always. The trick isn't to bulldoze rules. It is to choose actions that are easy to reverse and directly helpful, then pair them with a promise to own the outcome. Start pilots, not permanent policies. Draft language, not final decrees. Build a sample, not the entire system. When you move first in small ways, you turn a stalled conversation into a concrete choice, and choices invite action. Psychologically, giving people something specific to respond to flips the energy from opposition to iteration. A quick script to borrow when you get pushback. "You're right, I acted early. I saw we were stuck, so I made a draft to react to. If it misses, I will change it today." Short, accountable, and kind. It lowers resistance because it protects everyone's dignity while keeping the door to progress open. It is natural to believe you need permission to start. But in reality, most gates are blank space, waiting for someone to place a hinge. Not asking is not about getting away with anything. It is about taking responsibility to create momentum and making it safe for others to join. Move first. Move small. Own the fix. That is the forgiveness, not permission loophole. And when it works, notice how the room feels different. From standstill to choice. From caution to curiosity. From waiting to building. That shift is the real win. The fine print loophole. The sneakiest loophole you will ever use is sitting in plain sight, dressed in small letters and asterisks. That little block of text everyone scrolls past, that is not a trap, it is a map. The fine print is where the rule makers quietly carve exceptions, and those exceptions are where ordinary people win. Start with definitions. Contracts love to redefine everyday words. Business days might exclude holidays and some Mondays. A lifetime warranty might mean the lifetime of the product, not yours. If the definition section says what counts and what does not, you have your fence line. When you know the fence, you know the gate. Next, hunt for time windows. Hidden inside returns, cancellations and fees, there is almost always a grace period. A gym contract might let you cancel if you move a certain distance with proof. A subscription might have a cooling off window if you enrolled after a phone pitch. The clock is your ally when you know it is ticking. Look for opt-outs. Arbitration clauses often include a short opt-out window if you send a letter by mail. That tiny paragraph can restore your right to take a dispute to small claims, which instantly changes how seriously support treats you. Say the magic phrase, "I am invoking the opt-out described in your terms dated this month and year." Calm voice, written proof, done. Find exceptions to fees. Airlines set baggage rules, then bury waivers for delays, medical equipment or damage. Hotels advertise resort fees, then waive them when the listed amenities were unavailable. Price protection hides behind conditions like identical model numbers or limited timeframes. If you meet the condition, you are not asking for a favour, you are pointing to a rule. Document as you go. Screenshot the terms on the day you sign up. Save email confirmations. When a rep says no, ask them to note your account and reply in writing. Then quote the exact sentence you are relying on. Not a summary, not a vibe, the sentence. People can argue with you. They cannot argue with their own paragraph. Speak in their language. Use their headings and their phrasing. I am exercising the cancellation right under the relocation clause. I am requesting a fee waiver due to amenity unavailability, as described under exceptions. You are not being difficult. You are being specific. And remember the ethics. This is not about tricking anyone. It is about insisting on the deal that was actually offered. The fine print is a two-way promise. They used it to narrow obligations. You can use it to claim protections. Read the map, find the gate, and walk through with a smile.